3 years ago, I was so burnt out that I had 7 UTIs in 1 year, 2 of which turned into kidney infections. I had either a cold sore or a cold or something wrong with my immune system at all times. I had gained 22 pounds from stress eating, and despite being in the happiest stage of my life, having just met my now husband, I was miserable. But here's the thing, I haven't had a UTI in over 2 years now. I've lost all the weight and kept it off. I've been sick maybe twice in 3 years, and I'm genuinely happy and fulfilled with the work that I'm doing. So in this video, I want to share exactly how I got here, because what I'm about to tell you is honestly the only realistic way to stop burning out that actually worked for me. First, let me be completely honest with you. What I'm going to share with you is simple, but not easy. It requires a lot of work, a lot of reflection, and a lot of digging deeper. And here's the hard truth, it will require changing at least one area of your life massively and drastically. For me, it was quitting my job, working for marketing agencies and working with brands that I didn't ethically or morally support, and instead start my own business. It's not always the job for everyone, but there's going to be at least one area in your life that's causing the burnout that needs to be shifted. The other thing that you need to understand is, without placing any judgment, but the way you're taking care of yourself as of now clearly isn't working out for you. That's how you got to this point. So we need to completely redefine what self-care actually means. I'm not talking about whacking on a face mask and drinking a glass of wine at the end of the day. True self-care is so much deeper than that, but we'll get to it. So just briefly, this is where I was 3 years ago. I'd hassled through 2 degrees, my undergrad and postgrad, within 4 years without giving myself any breaks, and then went straight into working for digital marketing agencies, entering the corporate world. And after all of that, back to back, I was completely depleted. My typical day would look like this. I would snooze my alarm until 8:50 a.m. just to be at my desk by 9 a.m., giving myself 0 time for a proper morning routine or any transition from sleep to work mode, which was only amplified by working from home because there was no commute needed from my bed to my desk. Then I would work all day because I had to, but I wouldn't put out any quality work. My days were filled with such idiotic tasks like taking screenshots of the comment section of the social media campaign that we had just completed. But even the more fun and stimulating things like brainstorming sessions, for example, I felt like anything I could think of completely sucked and just lacked originality because I was so tired, exhausted, and drained. And all my thoughts were just kind of clouded by this brain fog. Then around 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., once I finally was able to shut off my computer, I would walk 5 steps into the living room, still hadn't moved my body all day long, and just collapse on the couch and watch TV, because that's all I had energy for. I turned on Netflix, binge watch TV series while eating microwaved leftovers, Indian takeout, or quick slice of bread with Nutella just to get a little bit of an energy boost. Then while the TV was on, I would just scroll on social media just to numb that constant depressive state and exhaustion even more, but obviously only making it worse. But then even going to bed was a struggle. So even though I was very tired and exhausted, I wasn't able to fall asleep because my thoughts were racing, thinking about work constantly. I was never really tired, even though I felt absolutely exhausted. I wasn't actually physically tired because I'd never given myself an actual outlet for energy during the day and moved my body or even switched off my brain fully. I'd also definitely prioritized work over any sort of relationships. I wasn't meeting friends, and even a phone call with my parents in the evening felt too much because I was already so drained. And so the evenings were never available for these things because I was just too exhausted. On top of all this, I was dealing with said UTIs, chronic infections, kidney problems. I'd gained those 22 pounds from emotional eating, stress eating, because I didn't feel fulfilled or happy and wasn't moving my body. My immune system was always compromised. There was always something wrong with me. I always had something going on, whether that was a cold or cold sore or UTI, literally alternating weekly. And remember, all of this was still happening despite being in the happiest stage of my life, being in this new relationship, which usually rejuvenates you. And that's when I knew that something was wrong and I had to change something, because it was dreadful living like that. So honestly, with those mental things, I probably would have carried on the way it was, even though it was still horrendous, but didn't seem enough to make a change. It was the physical symptoms where I knew it had to stop. Like those 7 UTIs in 12 months, fuck no. And so I would say it took me probably 3 months to make some good progress, about 6 months to fully recover from the burnout, and probably a year in total to fully come back to feeling myself again. A place where I had all my life energy back and was present and really enjoying life. So like I said, it's gonna take time. But here's how you do it. The first step is recognizing where the root cause lies for your burnout. What is it that actually causes this burnout? For me, it wasn't the amount of hours that I worked. It wasn't like, oh, I'm so overworked, I feel burnt out. Because now being self-employed, I probably put more work into my business than I did before into my 9 to 5. But yet I'm not getting burnt out. The issue for me was that I felt completely unfulfilled in the job that I was doing. And I know hate is a strong word, but I really hated my job. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I didn't like the location. And I worked with clients and brands that I didn't ethically or morally support, like fast food brands, laboratory suppliers, and alcohol brands, to name a few. So the key point here was that literally nothing about my job was fueling me with joy, fulfillment, or passion. Nothing. And this was a hard realization because as a high-functioning anxiety person and perfectionist, giving up that job meant saying no to a regular income and admitting that I potentially would have a gap on my CV. All those fears were hovering in the back of my head, preventing me from stopping earlier. But I had to look it in the eye, I had to do something about it, and so I did quit my job. And I'm not saying that this will be the first step for everyone. Your burnout could come from something completely different. It's not always job burnout, but you have to identify the true root cause and what can be done about it. And for me, my health was my priority. I had neglected it for so long that this time I would do things differently. And thankfully, I know I was very fortunate that I had enough savings and then some financial support from my parents and my partner as well to even make this possible. And so personally, I gave myself 3 full months to focus solely on me, my health, and recovering from burnout. Though I did start working on my business plan and just kind of getting started with my own business whenever I kind of was in the headspace for it or felt good enough. Step number 2 is super crucial, which is resetting your nervous system. When you're burned out, you have months, if not years, of built up cortisol, adrenaline, and all your stress hormones. All that emotional stress that you've experienced for months and years. Remember, your body has been in the survival state for quite some time, trying to handle all those stressful situations and all the stress that you're putting on yourself as well, without ever getting a chance to fully metabolize those stress hormones. And so even when you find that root cause and maybe even eliminate it, that will already obviously be a very good step forward because you're eliminating any further stress. But you will still need to find activities and strategies and techniques that truly reset your nervous system and get that build up cortisol out of your body. And I don't mean just meditate and do some yoga. If you can, be my guest, do it. My guess is that you probably don't have the mental capacity or patience to do these things when you're that burnt out. And so here are some very simple things that do wonders to your nervous system. Number 1 is to get outside. Every single day, I would spend a few hours outside. This could be hiking, driving to a lake, cycling around, going for a bike ride, or just taking a very long walk. Anything that will bring you joy while you're outside. And the more nature's around you, the better. I cannot stress enough how much spending time in nature does to your body and your stress levels. Number 2 is to shake out your body. This will sound strange, but seriously, it makes a huge difference. I don't know if you've heard about this, but when bunnies are being chased by a fox or predator or any kind of danger, they also get that rush of cortisol and adrenaline. But once that danger is gone, you can see them shaking vigorously. And that is their way of getting rid of those stress hormones. And humans work the exact same. And let your body flow and move and shake however it wants. Shake it out, dance, whatever feels natural. But do this every single day. It will feel silly at first, but it helps reset your nervous system like nothing else. Then of course, we also want to prioritize sleep. So in those first 3 months, I needed probably close to 10 to 12 hours of sleep. And that is okay. If you say you don't have time for it, then please do me the favor and look at your phone, see what your screen time is for social media, for Netflix, how much time you spend playing video games, watching TV, whatever it is. Those can be your extra 2 to 3 hours of sleep. So what I did was go to bed really early and not set an alarm and just see what happens. In my case, I slept very long, like I said, 10 to 12 hours, but I also didn't sleep in crazy amount because I went to bed really early and just gave my body the time then. Don't underestimate sleep. Sleep is when your body heals itself. It's when your cells renew. It's when your energy replenishes. It's when your body's repair work. So please give it that opportunity. Step number 3 is eating for stress reduction. Did you know that you can actually decrease your cortisol by eating the right foods? There are foods that decrease your cortisol. That's pretty sick, right? So the more anti-inflammatory, anti-cortisol foods you include, the better in that post-burnout stage. Here's a full list of foods that you should be including as much as possible. So take a screenshot, but yes, these foods are crucial for your stress response and your nervous system. Step number 4 is exercise, but do it differently. Here's something really important. Not every exercise is created equal when it comes to your stress levels. Heavy lifting, extreme exercise, sprinting, or anything really intense signals your body the same way as being chased by someone. Your body doesn't differentiate between a hardcore workout and actual danger. So if you're already stressed out and have that build-up cortisol and adrenaline in your body, going to the gym and then blasting some heavy metal or loud rap or whatever while lifting extremely heavy weights is only going to make things worse. Don't get me wrong, I also love weightlifting. I also love a good workout in the gym with the speaker on full volume, but just don't do it while you're recovering from burnout. In those 3 months, I really took a step back and focused on movement that emphasizes breathing. So this can be some gentle Pilates, this can be gentle yoga, this can be Tai Chi, contemporary dance, gentle swimming, or even low impact bike rides. Also, never work out on an empty stomach. Always have breakfast first, because intermittent fasting and working out on an empty stomach, so no nourishment, no fuel, also just adds more stress to your body. And I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Libby, but she actually talked about how she used to be this mad runner, always running loads, sprinting, yada, yada, yada. But when she switched to Tai Chi for a month, without changing her diet or anything else, that's when she just watched that extra weight melting off her body. And that is because your body doesn't prioritize weight loss, or more specifically fat loss, when you're in a survival state. Because why would it? If you're stressed out and your body's just trying to literally survive, the last thing on its list is like, oh, maybe we should lose some extra 10 pounds. Sadly, that's not how it works. Because honestly, I bet everyone would be very skinny in that case, because nowadays, who isn't stressed out? I mean, seriously, who isn't stressed out right now? Even I'm already stressing about the next week coming up. Anyways, when your body is trying to survive, it is just holding on to any extra fat and energy because it thinks it will need that very soon when we'll be in starvation and survival mode. Another example of this is me losing those 22 pounds. I did not change much about my lifestyle. I started losing that weight before I even implemented everything else, when I just handed in my notice. That's how powerful it is. Just that mental click of like, oh, we're almost done with this job. That alone was enough for my body to relax and my stress levels to go down to a point where my weight came off pretty much effortlessly without me starting to work out, changing my diet, and all that other stuff. That I only included after I finished a job, so in those 3 months post my burnout. But before then, I already started losing weight, even though it's still technically living that lifestyle and that life, just not as stressed out anymore, because I had that relief of, finally, I handed in the notice. Then the next step, step number 5, is doing inner child work. And this will probably sound way more hippy-dippy and crazy and complex than it is. All I want you to do is go back to the basics. Think back to when you were a child, when you were in your childhood growing up, and list a few things, 2, 3, 4, however many you can think of activities and things you loved, absolutely loved and enjoyed, and that brought you so much joy and happiness as a kid. And then do one of those things every single day. So for me personally, it was definitely drawing again, playing the piano, going out on my skates. Used to love that. And this is probably weird, but just laying outside in the grass. Those are the things I loved as a child. And for you, this might be, I don't know, finger painting or paint by numbers or running through the sprinklers in your garden. I don't know what you did as a child. Just think about what you truly enjoyed when you were growing up and go out and do those things again. Spark that joy again. I'm telling you, there are times when I'm not eating very clean, where I'm not working out all the time, where I'm quite sedentary and just sitting at my desk all day. But if I still manage to incorporate some of these nervous system regulation activities, as well as those activities that bring me true joy and fulfillment and fun and happiness and just contentness, and bonus point if they're outside in the sunshine, surrounded by nature and away from screens, that's when I can see the biggest changes in my well-being. That's when my period cramps are less the next time it rolls around. That's when I lose that extra puffiness, inflammation in my face and weight, and not when I fixate on my diet, what to eat next, when to eat next, and how much to exercise. Trust me, just try it out. It makes such a big difference. And then step number 6 is reconnect with people. I'm assuming that if you're burnt out right now yourself, or you're just completely overwhelmed and stressed out, you are probably pushing away from the people in your life. And I want you to reintroduce those people back into your life. In that very first 4 weeks, 1 month after I quit my job, I had my dad visit and one of my closest childhood friends. We literally have known each other since birth, and we spent extremely wholesome quality time together. We would cook meals together, we would go for hikes together, visit some lakes in the area, be outside. And this is a really important final step here, while you're obviously maintaining these other 5 steps as well, but bringing back those friends that truly fill up your cup and not drain the energy. They will rejuvenate you in ways that other things simply can't. Plus, I was also finally able to enjoy some quality time with my partner again too, because I had regained my energy. I also had more time because I wasn't working at that time anymore. And just that sense of connection and quality time, having meaningful conversations, and just being surrounded by people that you love, that love you, is incredibly healing. And so at the beginning of this video, I talked about redefining what true self-care is, and knowing that for yourself and practicing that true self-care, and not just putting on a face mask and drinking your glass of wine, which putting on a face mask, I guess sometimes also classifies as self-care, but true self-care in my eyes is that inner child work and figuring out what brings you true joy, fulfillment, and happiness on a much deeper level than any classic self-care thing like a face mask or impulse shopping or getting your nails done ever will. Because these are the short-term dopamine hits. They might feel great in the short term, but we want to be doing long-term self-care that really fuel us, that really heal us, that brings that energy back. And that, in my opinion, you just cannot achieve with those short-term temporary things. True self-care to me is allowing time to fully unwind, reset, sit in peace and quiet, switch off fully, reset your nervous system, surrounding yourself with people that fill up your cup, and doing anything that you need to get back to a stage where you are fully present and enjoying whatever you're doing. And usually those are actually the cheapest or free activities out there, like spending time in nature, breathing exercises, journaling to get rid of that mental overload, or cooking a really nice home-cooked meal, maybe light some candles. And here's what's amazing, changing these things and following these 6 steps to deal with my burnout trickled down into every single area of my life that I didn't even dream of. My physical symptoms completely disappeared. My immune system got back on track and my relationships improved dramatically. I was less agitated, I wouldn't snap as often or as easily, and I was just so much more at peace and emotionally balanced around the people in my life. So literally everyone in my life benefited from this, and not just me. And I think everyone should take burnout a little bit more seriously, because especially in today's day and age, I feel like burnout is something easily swept under the carpet because it's almost glamorized or admirable if you're busy and if you're constantly working and if you're working hard and climbing that corporate ladder. But it's simply not sustainable. Eventually, you will crash completely. And I think the sooner you recognize it and either prevent it or get a grip on it, the better. And as so often, consistency is really key here. You want to be doing these things on a regular, consistently. Doing them just a couple of times is not going to give you results. And it's also not something that you do for the first 3 months and then never again, because that will just lead you right back to where you started. It's something you really have to carry on and do at least on a weekly basis, if not on a daily basis, to keep preventing that burnout to coming back. And it's something I have to remind myself to this day. Like, my personality of a perfectionist type A person with high functioning anxiety hasn't really changed. I'm just more aware of it and still have to make these changes in these little activities and techniques and build them into my life, like I said, on a daily or at least weekly, so I don't hit that wall again. So like I said, it's simple, not easy, but so worth it. If I can go from 7 UTIs in 1 year and complete exhaustion and no existing immune system and weight gain from emotional eating to being symptom-free, energized, and genuinely happy, you can do it too.